Sunny James has her own show as an internet radio host. She tackles tough subjects and has often been called honest as well as insightful. I asked her if she thought the government restrictions that we've seen around the world could come to the U.S.
The thing is, of course, that the technology that I was just talking about has dabbled in listening on people's phone conversations, Facebook, Google. I mean, there have been those very young seeds of suspicion with our new media, but it's the new media, just like in the Middle East, that will save us. I think if you have an organization, if you have something to say, that you need to use the new media to your benefit, for your group, for your organization, use that new media, use the technology, get your voice out there. It was amazing to me to watch folks, the young people in Egypt, in the way they used the media to get a result that is working for them today. Flash mobs have been going on the negative side for several years. In a very gentrified part of Washington, D.C., you had kids going into stores and taking stuff off the racks, swarming the stores and taking stuff. Clothes, high-end clothes, whatever, shoe stores, whatever. So it has the potential, and I think if there needs to be a very fine balance between being the law enforcement and allowing what this country was founded on, those freedoms that this country was founded on. So it's going to be a balance. I don't think flash mobs, unfortunately, will be known for anything good now. I watched what happened in the Middle East and thought it was wonderful. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to fall out the same way. It's been now, I guess I could use the word bastardized in some way here for negative connotations, and that's unfortunate because it has such a strong, powerful way to provoke people for good. It could. We have the rights to assemble. We have the right to freedom of speech. Of course we do. And it's a matter of how, like I said, that fine balance. Is the government going to curtail that? Is the government going to try and reel that in and say, no, you can't do that? America has the right to assemble, to freedom of speech. It is, and it's essential that we hold on to that. And whether the freedom of speech is a text message, or freedom of to assembly is an abortion protest in front of the Supreme Court, of course. But it's incumbent upon Americans, and not just young people. You've got to be a part of this protest. Yes, in the Middle East, it was the young folks. You know, they were leading the way. And I will get behind anybody who wants to wave that banner of freedom, of we need to change how things are done. We need reform. Whatever the issue is, if you're expressing your freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, I'll tell you a story. I was unfortunately down on the mall when the Tea Party protest was here 4 or 5 years ago, just as Barack Obama was in office, the first summer, I think. And of course, the Tea Partiers have toned down the rhetoric and the ugly pictures, the references to Barack Obama as a Nazi, all of those ugly pictures. But I was down there with my son, who was 12 at the time, 12, 13, 14, 15, 12 at the time. And it was a lesson in history, a lesson in civics. I understood that those folks had the right to do that. It was ugly. I had to explain to my son why this man, that he got up election day with the front page of the Post glued to his T-shirt. So now I've got to explain, why are these people, predominantly white folks, marching through his city with ugly pictures of this newly elected president who happens to be a black man? But I also had to explain to him they had the right to do it. I personally hope it does. I think Americans tend to be rather apathetic. We have our devices. We think they're for fun and for flash mobs, perhaps. But I think Americans need to be more informed. When I look at the Middle East and the struggles that the Middle East has been through, Egypt, Syria is still, they've got a despot who is still trying to run their country. I think it's necessary that Americans get back to their roots. I mean, we were founded, if you remember, there was tea in the harbor, and there were protests in the 60s, so I think it needs to happen. It should happen. We've got all the devices and the technology to make it happen. I only wish that there were. I think folks are preoccupied with where the next meal is coming from, how they're going to pay their mortgage or their rent. I think they're concerned about it's funny because there was a flash mob in close-in suburbs in Washington last week, and news media is just getting a hold of it. And so now you've got folks who are worried not only about people breaking in and crime, but will folks gather outside at the corner store? Will I be able to get out? Can I still be in my community because the news media is talking about these flash mobs? I think folks are very, very concerned about their way of life to be otherwise distracted by other folks, the country's social ills. They just want to make sure their kids eat. They want to make sure they can hold on to their job. I don't know what issue will be provocative enough. Rosa Parks simply sat down. That was enough to spark something in Black America and in white America. I can't say that we marched by ourselves, but I don't know what issue it's going to take. I wish I did, because I would be the first in line